Mic check 1, 2. Mic check. Let's see here. Let's double check here. All right, we're good. We're good. All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Coop Calling Show. Today's Tuesday, May the 5th. Happy Cinco de Mayo for those of you that are celebrating. Very excited to be with you guys. Got a lot to talk about today. Got Ulric Jones, former Gamecocks defensive lineman, really good friend of mine, calling into the show around 10:30. So really excited to be talking about that. One thing I want to touch on today, and first thing I'll say, hope everybody's staying safe, staying healthy. I actually went out last night to Tin Roof. First time we've been out all quarantine, really anywhere. And it wasn't a bad experience. So I'll be damned if you don't, damned if you do. You don't want to judge me. That's fine. But it was nice to get out of the house, get out during quarantine. Hope everybody, again, doing well. Happy Tuesday, May the 5th. We're hanging out here on a Tuesday, talking Gamecocks, talking sports, talking everything. You want to talk some Korean baseball from last night, the first baseball on TV, professional baseball all year long. 843-790-3377 is your call-in line, your text line, any questions you guys may have. Again, there's a lot to talk about. One thing I want to address off the jump, as you guys probably saw, there was no podcast released this morning. For those that are tuning into this, I'm sure you're subscribed to the podcast. No podcast released this morning, and there'll be no podcast this week. That is because we are gearing up to jump into football content starting next week. I know the Carolina Classics were a fun thing. I had a good time reliving those games and doing that and enjoying that. I know you guys enjoyed it as well. We are jumping into our off-season content next week, talking football, talking Carolina football, breaking down the opponents, breaking down the schedule, breaking down the team. So I figured, why not? Excuse me, guys. Why not take a week, gear up, get ready, be ready to go at 110 instead of dilly-dallying around this week. So we're going to be full speed ahead. The show really returns back to somewhat of normalcy next week. It won't be daily. This is going to be the newest daily content. The podcast will probably still be 2 days a week. I might move it back to Monday, Thursday. I seem to like that better than Tuesday, Thursday for whatever reason. But it'll probably be twice a week again. But we are jumping back into head first into our football content. We're also going to have our guests back on the show as well next week with the podcast. So just to let you guys know, a heads up again, 843-790-3377. Happy Tuesday. Again, Cinco de Mayo if you're celebrating that. Again, I know it's kind of weird for people right now because you can't really go anywhere, but if you're sipping on some tequila at home, you're eating some tacos, it's Taco Tuesday and a Cinco de Mayo. How much better can it get, right? So let's jump right into it. And again, one thing I wanted to touch on that I actually just kind of woke up and was thinking about this morning. It's not like a new topic or something that, we've never talked about, but something that I just woke up thinking about, and I put it out there on social media this morning. And basically, and I would love to get you guys feedback on this, 843-790-3377. You can call, you can text, you can leave a comment in this stream as well. But who is the biggest bust in Gamecocks history? Now, I was thinking specifically football when I did this, but I would love to hear if you guys have any others across the sports that maybe are before my time or guys I just didn't think about. Who's the biggest bust, though? It can even be a coach. It can be an administrator, someone that had very high expectations for what they were going to do at South Carolina, obviously, and fell short. I don't have to explain to you guys what a bust is. For me, though, that dang dude, that freaking guy, Demetrius Summers, was for me. 5-star running back out of Lexington, class of 2003. I was taking a look at his stats. And it's just crazy when you take a look at his college stats. I'm going to pull these up one more time. And again, for me, there are multiple names that come up off the top of my head, even for football. Even just for football, when I think of the biggest bust of all time. But you take a look at Demetrius Summers' career stats. I mean, you really dive into these, right? He had just 3 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns now. Had 5 total, but 3 rushing touchdowns as a freshman. All 3 coming against Alabama Birmingham. Now, he did have some good games, most notably the following week at Tennessee, 27 carries, 158 yards, almost 6 yards a carry. So he did have that going for him. But in 2 full seasons with South Carolina, he had just 4 rushing touchdowns, 2 receiving. So he had 6 total touchdowns in 2 seasons with South Carolina, and then was dismissed from the team going into 2005, obviously for drug use. That to me, I really forgot, for a guy that was so highly regarded, highly sought after, I forgot how bad his career was. I truly forgot how big of a bust he was. The other names to me that come off the top of my head, Ricardo Hurley, 5-star linebacker. That was one, which I thought his career was solid. I mean, definitely not, a bust in the sense of it wasn't what we expected, but his career was solid. I think Shaq Rowland is one of my biggest busts of all time, a guy that had all the tools, all the talent. And again, most of these guys, or a lot of these guys, by the way, big ups to the coffee mug. The coffee mug is fire. Most of these guys, though, they dealt with they dealt with off the field issues, drug use. As Stephen A. Smith says, stay off the weed. They couldn't do it. So, Shaq Rowland was a knucklehead. He was a guy, Mr. South Carolina football. You thought he was going to be the next great one. He actually showed some signs of being arguably the next great one. I mean, he had some monster catches in that 2013 season. Even 2014, when it started to kind of go downhill for him. I mean, had the big touchdown catch against Georgia. I remember he had a great catch against Auburn for a touchdown. I mean, he was actually pretty good when he played. Jarvis Giles is another one that I think of that's a huge bust. And I mean, Giles, lesser extent, because again, he wasn't a 5-star player the sense the way Demetrius Summers was. And I think the thing that makes Demetrius Summers such a big bust too is that he was like a local legend. I mean, Lexington High School, like a local kid, everybody expected so much. A lot of people have said Derek Watson. They think he was the biggest bust of all time. I can see that as well. We had Squeaky on the show, and he's an awesome dude. But another guy that dealt with the off-the-field issues and dealt with drug problems and just can never seem to put it all together. Another name here, and I don't know if I'd say it's the biggest bust, but it's interesting. One name that I think of specifically, and we'll see if how many of you guys recognize this name, but OJ Murdoch. OJ Murdoch, I thought was a huge bust. I think he was like a 5-star kid. I could be wrong, but I think he was like a 5-star kid. But I'll look it up here. Let's see. I think he actually might have passed away. I don't know. But he was a wide receiver. 4-star kid. 4-star kid out of Tampa, Florida, class of 05. But signed with South Carolina. There were a lot of high expectations for him. Never did anything. I mean, he picked the Gamecocks over Florida, Florida State, Miami, and Tennessee. And you got to think, this is 2005. So, I mean, those programs are elite. Pretty much every program I just named off was elite. And he chose South Carolina, and it just never panned out. But again, would love to hear you guys' thoughts, 843-790-3377, or you can leave a text on the text line, or you can leave your comments here on YouTube, whatever works best for you. Leave your thoughts. Again, like I said, former Gamecocks defensive lineman Ulric Jones calling in around 10:30, a really, really good buddy of mine, someone that I know is still pursuing professional football right now, and someone we definitely remember from the first couple of Will Muschamp teams. Was a starter on that defensive line for Will Muschamp. But again, would love to hear your thoughts, 843-790-3377. Kind of random going back to what I said. Yeah, I actually did go out last night. Went to Tin Roof. Didn't really go out. It's still kind of weird. You know what I mean? It's still kind of weird going anywhere. Obviously, they're observing social distancing. The only places opening up are places with patios. We heard John Lamond, my buddy Jonathan Lamond, talking yesterday, the regional manager of a couple bars in 5 Points and the Vista and all that good stuff. We heard him talking yesterday. He was actually there last night. Went up and met with John. And it was nice to obviously get out of the house and, feel like you're doing something that's not just sitting around watching Netflix and being bored and all that good stuff. But it felt good. I'll tell you this, though. The worst people, and again, you're not going to hear me get deep into like coronavirus talk, COVID-19, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. But if you're one of those people that is coming after people on social media or demonizing people for going to a restaurant when it's opened back up for them, you're like the fucking worst. You're just the fucking worst. Like straight up. You're You are the absolute worst. So, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you're the worst. No other way to put it. I just don't understand these people who like, and it's not like professionals or whatever. It's literally just fans that are just people. It's just random people that are doing this. And again, I don't want to dive into this topic necessarily and have a full on discussion about it. Again, everybody's got their own opinion. It's very simple solution. If you don't want to go out, just stay home. Nobody's putting a gun to your head. Nobody's forcing you to do anything. If you don't want to go anywhere, don't, right? But I don't think it's fair to demonize the people that want to take advantage of it and want to get out of the house and go have a drink or go have a bite and don't hold it over their damn heads. I mean, that's just it. So I've been seeing a lot of that on social media lately, and I'm not a big fan of it. I'll be completely honest with you guys. Again, taking your questions, guys. We'd love to take your questions, 843-790-3377, or leaving your comments here. You want to know if we're going to have a football season? You want to know anything about football? Like I said, we're starting to talk football next week on the podcast. I mean, I know a lot of you are going to sit there and say, well, we're not going to have a football season. I can't think that way. I can't live that way. I can't be doom and gloom that way. I just can't do it. So we are going to continue and truck along as if there is going to be a football season. That's the way I'm going to approach things. And I'm actually very excited because, again, as much fun as the Carolina Classics stuff was, and it is, it's going to be nice to be diving back into football, diving back into sports, trying to get back again to somewhat of normalcy. Going to be starting the opponent previews next week. That's going to be a big thing. If you guys have, if you guys have seen, basically we'll go down, break down each opponent for South Carolina, their returners, their coach, the outlook for their team, how South Carolina might stack up against them, stuff like that. Really, really good stuff. One thing I'll say too, very randomly, if you've seen, I'm about to retweet a poll here. Retweeting a poll, go vote for South Carolina beating Clemson because if we win, we get to watch that on Friday night at 9:00 on SEC Network. And I, for one, would love to have that piece of content to watch that game. And I don't know, maybe live stream that. So go check that out for sure. But yeah, I mean, like I said, going back, I'd love to hear what you guys think as far as your biggest busts in Gamecocks football or just Gamecocks history in general. I'm trying to think other sports. Maybe Ray Tanner as an AD, you could say that's a bust. I mean, that's been a major bust. I don't think anybody expected him to be as bad at that job as he is. It's hard to say, I think, in basketball and baseball, especially baseball, because there are no guarantees, I guess. You know what I mean? Just because, just because you're a highly regarded prospect in baseball, it means nothing. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean you're going to make it to the show or you're going to be a great college player or whatever. I mean, it's a good indicator, but it's not it's not a tell-all, if you will. So, I'm not 100% sure as far as baseball goes. Maybe Lonnie Chisenhall, just because a guy who had so much talent and got in trouble and got kicked off the team before he was really able to do anything. I mean, I'll go ahead and say it. My buddy Ethan Carter, you maybe could say he was a bust. I mean, a guy that could not stay out of trouble. And again, I feel like that's most of these guys. Most of these guys that are bust that did not pan out, it's because of off the field stuff. I mean, normally, if these guys have talent, put in the work, it kind of does come around eventually. I think a fun topic to talk about, though, who is the biggest bust on this current team? Or like who's been the biggest bust in the past 5 years? Because, I mean, there's definitely – Jam Williams was a bust. God, Jam Williams was a bust. I always go back to Jamias Williams. He was a huge bust. I mean, freshman All-SEC. I mean, the sky was the limit. I still remember talking to Michael Felder preseason 2018. This is way back before the Spurs Up show was what it is. Talking to Michael Felder, who's now he was with Bleacher Report at the time. I think he had just gotten on – he had just gotten on with Watch Stadium. And we were both praising how good Jamias Williams was and was probably going to be. We thought he would be one of the better safeties in the SEC and thought he would be this, thought he would be that. And I genuinely to this day don't know what happened. I genuinely don't know what happened in Jamias Williams. He just forgot how to play fucking football. He forgot. The dude forgot how. I don't really understand it. I mean, he could not cover for shit. And I joked, but it's kind of true. Like that Alabama game last year, that was the end of his career. That was the end of his career at South Carolina. Bottom line. The end of his career. No questions asked. Matthew Perry, I think we should go 4-0. We definitely need to beat Missouri. Kentucky game kind of scared me, but who knows? Kentucky game, my friend. Yeah, you know what? Kentucky game scares me to death. I mean, it really does. Dude, because here's the thing. Here is the thing. When you think about this, when has it ever been easy for us to go into Lexington and beat Kentucky? Really think about it, right? We have not beaten Kentucky in Lexington since 2012, and we all know how good that 2012 team was. And that team struggled to get that win. I mean, you go back and watch that game. That was a really close game, like the fourth quarter, and we finally started to pull away and whatever. But I mean, so yeah, we've lost 14, 16, and 18, right? Lost the last 3. You beat them in 12, but it was close. You lost to them in 10, the team that won the SEC East. 2008. 08 was the trick play. Garcia to Wes Saunders. That one was a tight one. 06 was a tight one. That was the trick play game. 04, you had to beat them on like one of the last plays of the game. I don't remember 02, but I mean, you understand what I'm saying with the trend. So I think that South Carolina fans, I think that's just going to be an easy win. That is just, I mean, I don't understand where that logic is coming from. We'll pull up I'm going to pull up the schedule here really quickly. I like to say that I remember it by heart, but I don't want to get it wrong. But no, that's going to be a tough game. And you know what the bad part is? South Carolina's probably going to be an underdog. They're probably going to be an underdog at Kentucky. So, I mean, if nothing else, you have to start 3-0. You have to. Coastal, ECU, if you lose either one of those, Will Muschamp should not have a job by week 3. Should not. Mizzou at home, I'll be honest with you, that might be, in my opinion, the most important game of the season. As much as I hate to say that, because it shouldn't. It should be a game we look at and say, we should win that one. Let's move on. But Mizzou at home, if you go 3-0 to start and you lose to Kentucky, it's going to really hurt. But you could still have a decent season. You could. I believe you could. You could still have a decent season in my mind. If you lose to Missouri, I don't see a way you can have a decent year. I just don't. At home, there's really going to be no excuse. You know what I mean? Missouri losing Kelly Bryant. They lose a lot of talent on the defensive side as well. New head coach. And I know this is a head coach that beat South Carolina last year. I understand that. Trust me. I'm fully aware of that. But that Mizzou game should not be an L. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, it's probably going to be in the toss-up category for me. Probably going to be in the toss-up category for me. Because after that, again, you go to Kentucky, you'll be an underdog. You go to Florida, you'll be an underdog. Tennessee at home, unless you're 5-0, even though it's at home, it'll depend on how the records of the two teams are for sure. But it's a decent chance it's either a pick 'em or you're an underdog. You know, and then you start to get into the gauntlet of you got A&M at home, you go to Vandy, but then it's Georgia, LSU, Wofford, Clemson. Okay. I don't know. I just think that Missouri game, I think that's going to be the one that sets the tone, man. I really do. Like, I just, I know a lot of fans, again, are saying you need to start 4-0. To have the kind of season you want, I don't disagree. I really don't. My biggest thing is this, though. Coastal, ECU, Mizzou at home, at Kentucky. Let's look at those 4 games, right? Should you be 4-0? Yes. Should you be 4-0? Yes. Am I going to pick a team that just lost to Appalachian State 7 months ago to be 4-0? I can't do it. I just cannot do it. I can't. I want to. We should be able to. And I think it's an indication of where the program is that you can't pick 4-0. But South Carolina, the entire time, I mean, even when South Carolina had the good season they had, this program has not been consistent enough to pick that they're going to be consistently good for 4 weeks in a row. Because you're going to need to be good to be 4-0. You're going to have to be good. You're not going to sleepwalk through that. Coastal, you should really blow out Coastal. I talked to a buddy about this. That you need a blowout bad. I mean, you should get it. You need a blowout. You need Marshawn Lloyd to rush for about 150, get people fired up. You really do. I mean, that's the crazy thing. Like when you look at the schedule, as tough as the schedule is, and it is tough, it sets up to start well, to build momentum. It really does. Because even someone like me who's being extremely critical of Will Muschamp, and I'm still going to say deservedly so for sure, and I still don't think he's the guy. I mean, if you start 4-0, the mindset, the momentum, we're having a much different conversation. Because if you start 4-0, you only need 2 more to get to a bowl, and you got Vandy and Wofford left on the docket. You win those 2, steal one, that's a 7-win year. And I think you could steal one against Tennessee or A&M. You really need to beat A&M. I just, whatever. You could steal one against Tennessee or A&M. I think at LSU, I mean, I say that now, and I don't want to look stupid when it comes around in the sense of like we get blown out. But LSU losing a ton, they're still extremely talented. I just think that could be an area. I mean, you got Georgia at home. I don't tend to think South Carolina's going to beat Georgia back-to-back years, but Georgia's got their own issues at quarterback. They got their own issues coming in this year. At LSU, I think that could be a place for a big upset. So the path to 7 wins is there. It really is. Like, as much as people think I'm doom and gloom and, all the season's going to be, the path is there. It's there. Do I think if Steve Spurrier was coaching this team that I'd be picking 7 wins or this team would win 7 games? Yeah. Yeah, I do. Yes. But I picked 7-5 last year, right? I picked 7-5 last year. I got burned on it for 4-8. You're not going to get 7-5 out of me again this year. Not going into the season. Again, you start 4-0, I'll probably be singing a different tune. I think a lot of us will. But there's just, in my mind, there's just no way in good conscience I can pick this team to start 4-0. None. There's just no way. I mean, really, through that first 6, you need to be 4-2. You do. You need to be 4-2. You've got to get the biggest thing. You've got to get to November with 5 wins because you play Vanderbilt Halloween night at Vandy in Nashville. And then again, your November slate, Georgia at home, at LSU, Wofford, and then at Clemson. So that Wofford game, you might go 1-3 in November. I mean, it's most likely you will. Let's just be honest. It's most likely you're 1-3 in November. So you've just got to find a way to get to November with at least 5 wins. Coastal, ECU. Let's just throw those 2 on there. Hell, I'm scared of the ECU game. Be totally honest with you. I'm scared of the ECU game. But you should win that one. So there's 2. You need to beat Missouri. That's 3. Again, you start out 4-0. And again, Kentucky will not be a pushover. But you're going to need to be 4-2 to that first 6. You got to be 4-2 to that first 6. I mean, I've said it before, guys. The bye week is after Tennessee, right? Which is the 6th game. I mean, and it won't happen. It definitely won't happen, especially with the COVID stuff that's going on. But in a normal year, 3-3 or worse at the bye week, and he should be fired. I mean, Will Muschamp should be fired. 3-3 or worse at the bye, I'd be fired. I mean, I just, to me, it's like at that point, it'll be very obvious. If you're 3-3 or worse, let's just say you're 3-3. You probably lose to A&M, you're 3-4. You beat Vandy, you're 4-4. And then you're going to finish 5-7. You're going to finish 5-7 at that point, which is not good enough. again, the path to 7 wins is there. I mean, again, for people that just think I'm so doom and gloom about this season, and the only reason that I'm so pessimistic about this year is because I know what the leadership we have, and again, I've seen it. We saw it last year, and I know there were a lot of things that happened with Jake Bentley getting hurt, and, Ryan Helinski taking over, and all that stuff, whatever. But I mean, we're talking about a team that lost 8 games, and 6 of those 8 were by double digits. I mean, lost to Appalachian State. I don't think anybody could blame a South Carolina fan for not being extremely optimistic coming into this year, right? So, I tweeted this, I think last week or something. That's sort of the beauty of this year, though. You're going to know, we're going to know very early what kind of season it's going to be. You're not going to be able to hide. You're going to know, There'll be no question. There will be no question what type of year it's going to be after 6 games. It's either going to be, there will be a lot of promise, and it's a promise of a great season, or we're going to know like this season is kind of done. Unfortunately, I hate to say that, but it'll be like this season it's going to be rough. It's going to be very rough. Matthew Perry again. Do you think Ryan can take the next step? I think so. I think changing the offense up a little bit, the focus of the offense, I think is probably what's going to help him most. He's got to get healthy for one. That's what's going to help him most. Being healthy. Being healthy will help him. I mean, guy was playing on one leg last year. I'll tell you this, though. You talk about going 4-0, whatever. And I've said this before. If South Carolina is 4-2 or better through 6, and I've said this about if South Carolina simply goes 7-5 or better. Let's just say they go 7-5. If South Carolina is 4-2 or better at the midway point, Marshawn Lloyd's a household name. And that's what will help Ryan Helinski the most. It will. That's what will help Ryan Helinski. Having Ryan Helinski comes off to me as a guy that needs a good running game. Needs a good running game. Absolutely. I've said this before on my show, and I'll say it again, and it's not a slight at Ryan. I tend to be one that I believe that South Carolina, to win big and maybe to get back to where we were under Spurrier, and I just think it's better for South Carolina, you need to have a dual threat guy. And that's my only criticism of Ryan is just he's slow. He's so slow. He's so slow. He's so slow. So do I think Ryan will I think Ryan will improve. I think the thing I loved about Bobo was the fact how honest he was about Ryan Helinski's shortcomings and his mechanics, what he needed to fix, his throwing motion, his footwork especially got bad at times last year. But again, dude was playing on one leg, right? He was playing on one leg. So, I mean, the mechanics were going to suffer. There's no question. He's got all the arm talent. The dude can make all the throws. I mean, he throws a pretty deep ball, got a good head on his shoulders, right? It's just about, like I said, taking that next step. What scares me about the offense is who's he going to throw it to? Because outside of Shi Smith, there are no proven commodities. There are no proven commodities returning for the Gamecocks. None returning. So that makes me very nervous. That makes me very, very nervous in regards to, what can South Carolina, expect? And I know it sucks because, we're getting the spring taken away from us. And that was big time for installment for this offense, for these quarterbacks to get reps. But I'm still very intrigued as to what the offense will look like, simply. I expect it to be a run-heavy offense. I expect it to be a run-first offense. I know Mike Bobo said his perfect scenario in a game is 300 yards passing, 200 yards rushing. I think it's probably more likely this South Carolina team will be a 300 yards rushing, 200 yards passing kind of team. I think it's going to be a run-first team. I just do. I don't think there's enough weapons on the outside to be a pass-first team. That you need to run the football well to set up the pass. I think that's the kind of team this is going to be. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's why you recruit a guy like Marshawn Lloyd. The best South Carolina teams ever were run first. All of Spurrier's teams were run first. That's what people seem to forget. Even when the Gamecocks had Alshon Jeffrey, dude, you had Marcus Lattimore. That was a run first team. No, South Carolina won big with a running game and defense, and they threw it. They threw it when they had to, and they threw it when they wanted to a decent amount too. But they really threw it when they had to. I mean, that bottom line. I mean, we've been doing the Carolina Classic stuff. South Carolina, some of the greatest games in Gamecocks history. You go back and look at the stats, and it's crazy. Connor Shaw completed 6 passes in the 2012 game against Georgia. But he rushed for like 90 yards. He completed 14 to 25 or something in the 2013 game against Clemson, but he rushed for 100 yards. That's the difference. And that's what I'm saying in the sense of like, I think that it's going to be tough to win at South Carolina with a pure drop back guy because you're not Clemson, you're not Alabama. You don't have 5-star guys all over the field on the outside. I say at the running back position, but you got Lloyd, but it makes it a lot harder on you when you're just not going to out-talent people. You're just not. Not right now, you're not with what you have. And it's not a knock on Mike Wyman or Rico Powers or Xavier Legette or Shai Smith, but like those guys are not T. Higgins. They're not Henry Ruggs. They're not Jerry Jeudy. Like that, they're just not. They're just not. That's just a fact. They're not. So I think you need to be, if you're going to go with a guy like Ryan, you need to be run first. You need to be, I'm not saying be like Georgia or anything, but again, if South Carolina's 4-2 or better, and if South Carolina makes a bowl even, if they go 7-5, Marshawn Lloyd's the reason. He is a household name at that point. He is a freshman All-American, probably definitely freshman All-SEC, and he is the spark that this program desperately needs. So, all right, let's give my buddy Ulric Jones, former Gamecocks defensive tackle. Let's give Ulric a call. So we're going to chat up with Ulric, see what he's been doing during quarantine, just hang out. So. Yo, Ulric, what's up, man?
What's up?
What's up? You're on the show. How's it going?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Been good. So, yeah, appreciate you calling in, man. Like I said, just kind of a casual thing. You're on the Coop calling show. Gamecock fans tuned in, obviously. Figured everybody appreciate knowing how you were doing. I'll ask you first. Obviously, we're all dealing with the quarantine and stuff. How's everything been? How you handling? I know you're still working out, training, staying ready, but how's the quarantine life been for Ulric Jones?
It ain't really changed much for me because I'm an introvert, so I'm not really big on going out and too much socializing anyway. So it's kind of put a hold on what I want to do, but if you know your way around the system, then it's going good.
For sure. So I definitely want to talk to you and ask you because I know that it's a really uncertain time right now for everybody, especially athletes. I mean, you're seeing all these leagues getting canceled, and I know for football, it's obviously look at the college level in South Carolina, spring ball getting canceled. Nobody knows when they're going to return for summer ball, and there's even uncertainty about the college football season happening, which I think it will, but there's just a lot of uncertainty right now. For you personally, I know a lot of stuff's been put on hold, but what's kind of, I guess, I know it's tough to have like a plan right now necessarily because you can't put anything in stone, but like what's the latest on because again, I know you're still training, obviously you're staying in shape, staying ready. What's the plan for you as far as where you're looking to play or looking to sign or because I think it's really interesting because again, a lot of the leagues, I think of the XFL folding, not even going to come back. There's a lot of guys, a lot of players right now that are, just kind of left scratching their heads, wondering like where, when and where am I going to get my next shot at?
Right. Well, I start by saying that God works in mysterious ways, and saying that is because I was with the XFL for some time. And there was uncertainties about the league throughout the whole time we were, training and getting ready for preseason and whatever. But, a few weeks before the XFL folded is when I backed out of the team 9 contract, which is basically the practice squad for the league. So I backed out of that, and I say less than 48 hours later, I signed my contract to go play in the CFL.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
So that kind of shook up, my whole journey, which I'm fine with it because I'm a resilient person. I can bounce back from anything. That being said, I actually did a phone interview with the coaches from BC yesterday, and as of now, we're still gonna have a season. We're still gonna play.
Okay.
We're not gonna be able to get together until maybe around August, September.
Yeah, that's what I was actually going to ask you was like I was wondering, was the CFL shut down or proceeding as normal? Because again, I know their season obviously happens a little bit of a different time, and it's just a little. Obviously, it's a different area of the country, a different area of the world. So they're going to proceed as normal then, or as normal as they possibly can.
Right.
I got you. So I do definitely want to ask you, Ulric, about obviously the NFL draft happened. What was that, last week or a week and a half ago or something like that? Definitely want to ask you about your former teammate, Javon Kinlaw, going, I think, 15th overall to San Francisco. Pretty highly, highly regarded prospect, but it was definitely covered in detail, his story. And you were talking about the adversity he's overcome with his family situation and kind of just what he came from personally. Just talk about, I guess what it meant to you being his former teammate and just seeing that success for him. I mean, what were your thoughts when his name was called and the 49ers got him at the 15th overall pick?
Well, I knew he was going first round regardless. And me and Kinlaw, we have a real close relationship. So I talk to Kinlaw maybe every other few days. I reach out, I check on him, make sure he's good, make sure he's staying in shape, make sure he's taking care of his body. But Kinlaw is one of those people who, you put something in front of him and it's not going to stop him. And me being able to play with Kinlaw, him being younger than I was, I still learned a lot from Kinlaw because, we all have our own stories, but his is a little different.
Mm-hmm.
So being that young of a player, dealing with so much at his age, I don't even think that I could have dealt with his situation as positive as he did.
Right.
So, I know for a fact he's gonna do big things. I wish him the best. I'm excited for him. And I hope he plays for a long time because he definitely deserves it.
I was gonna say, man, it's crazy just thinking back. I think people forget how good that defensive line was that you were on. I mean, you think Javon Kinlaw, yourself, Taylor Stallworth. I mean, there's just some big time names that were all playing together at one time, and amongst a host of others as well that I definitely did not mention.
Right.
Yeah. So, go ahead. We actually had a really nice season that year too. So, we was one of those groups that we all came in at separate times, but we ended up, being close, and it paid off for us because we started playing really good together. For sure. So I want to ask you about your other teammates as well, because again, guys that you played with that I would say guys that also overcame, a fair amount of adversity. Brian Edwards going in the 3rd round. TJ Brunson, I thought it was great to see him get picked up. DJ Wanham, it was great to see him get picked up. Obviously, I think he was 5th round. I think Brunson was 7th. But Wanham specifically, man, I was talking about this with somebody else. I mean, it's just crazy because you're talking about a kid that 3-star recruit. I think his other offer was like Indiana. And then, this was probably, in my opinion, the best job I've seen by Will Muschamp, development-wise, bringing in a kid that, again, 3-star guy, wasn't crazy highly regarded. And again, stars are not the end-all, obviously. I mean, you see 5-star guys come in and be busts and 2-star guys that come in and ball out and just work their tails off. But speaking specifically on DJ Wanham, I mean, again, a guy you played with, and I think, it was crazy to watch him over his career really become the focal point of South Carolina's defense. And, one of the most important, if not the most important piece of that defense, because, again, you were on that team in 2000, or was 2018? You had just left in 18, correct? Or were you on that? Just left.
Yeah, I had something. Yeah.
Okay, well, I know you were keeping up with it either way. That 2018 season, though, when he got hurt that first Coastal game, I really thought that really took a toll on the defense, a lot bigger than people gave it credit for, because the second he came back from his injury, he was making a big impact, making plays. Just talk about, what you saw over your career playing with DJ Wanham, his development, and, I guess, again, how cool it was to see him go. Because, again, I think that was a really cool achievement for a guy that wasn't necessarily the most highly regarded prospect out of high school.
Right. Well, one thing about DJ Wanham, he was probably one of the most freakish athletes that I've ever played with. You talking about a guy who can drop back in coverage and put his hand in the dirt. And he had a heart to where he couldn't be stopped. And, he was a young guy when I was there, but, he was respected by all the older guys. And he was one of those people who you just put him at different positions on the field and let him make plays.
For sure. So I do want to ask you about that, though. We're talking about the stars and everything. And, again, you were a highly regarded guy yourself. But, again, South Carolina bringing in a really good recruiting class this year. And, Jordan Birch being kind of the headliner. And I think he's going to be the guy that probably steps into that role that DJ Wanham was in, a five-star kid. But, just for the fans at home that, definitely don't know, what's the dynamic like when a kid like that comes in? Because, again, I've heard stories from guys that played on the teams in the early 2010s when Jadeveon Clowney stepped on campus. And, again, they're a true freshman, but they have all this talent. But really, at the end of the day, stars don't mean anything once you step foot on campus. What is that dynamic like? Because, again, I know for you guys, like, when you were a veteran guy, you're not giving some kid slack because he's, he thinks he's hot shit or he was some highly regarded recruit.
Right. It's kind of like, being a highly drafted rookie coming into the NFL.
Right.
Like you got to earn your play. You got to earn your respect. A lot of these top rated athletes who come in, they never been tested, so they never really been put in the deep water. A lot of them have never been, really challenged or pushed to that breaking point because they're so highly recruited that everything's given to them. So nowadays, in today's society, you got people coming into college with, big on social media, verified pages and with a prima donna mindset, and then, get to where it's hard, it's uncomfortable, it's not easy, and they don't know how to respond to it. Versus, got somebody like DJ Wanham who comes in as a 2-star, 3-star, who's overlooked, who feels like they have a point to prove. So it's automatically going to bring out, the best work in those players. That being said, you also have some top stars who come in with the mentality like, I'm coming to work for a job, I'm coming to play, and I won't be denied.
And I think that's where, I would imagine being a great recruiter plays in as far as knowing the character of the kid along with the talent. Those two have to mesh, because literally we were just talking on the show before I called you. One of the topics was like the biggest bust in Gamecock football history. And there are some big busts. You look at guys that came in as 5-star athletes and all the hype and all the high regard, and they just, for whatever reason, and a lot of it was off the field stuff. A lot of guys just don't know how to handle the attention and kind of being the big man on campus and stuff like that. And they, get into stuff they shouldn't or whatever, but it can definitely, I feel like it's just finding that right mix of talent and a guy who has the right work ethic and has the maturity and all that good stuff. I think you're seeing that with the guys that Will Muschamp's recruiting.
Right. And one thing I really like how Coach Muschamp recruits is he don't go out and get the players that has the big prima donna name. He goes and gets the players that he knows going to come in and work hard and be all gas and a great mentality towards the team. And that's, a lot of people can say, well, he needs to go get this, he needs to go get that because we're lacking here, we're lacking that. But, at the end of the day, all these people don't you know how that goes. So,
right.
But
I think we might be losing him. All right, we're going to try to get Ulric back on the line here. I think probably his service went out. I'm going to try to FaceTime because the audio will be a lot better out also. We'll probably start doing that in the future, just FaceTiming instead. Let's see. We might have lost Ulric there. I think his service went out. But either way, good stuff. If we can't, we'll try to get him back on the line. Hey, Ulric, what's up, man? Sorry, I lost you there for a second.
Okay, yeah. But, like I was saying, he brings in the guys who are hungry, who team motivated, who wants to make a difference in the program. So, I like the guys that he brings in. I'm around the campus a lot. I come back and I train and use those facilities, and I have a chance to meet a lot of those guys who come in for, visits and. So I feel like we bring the right people in with the right mindset.
For sure. So I definitely, last thing, Ulric, before I let you go, I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I definitely want to get your feedback, your thoughts on this. I don't have the specifics of it pulled up, but I'm sure you've been following along. Basically, we are moving closer and closer to college athletes getting compensated, if you will, for their name, their likeness. We're moving closer and closer to college athletes being able to partner with businesses and different people and, basically being able to make money off of their name. I think it's a great idea to let these guys, I think one of the silliest things is that, like, you can't sign an autograph and somebody pay you $10 for it. I think that's just ridiculous. But so I'll ask you, I know you're probably someone that's a huge advocate of it. You're on the side of it should happen. And how silly is it that it has not happened? Because without getting anybody in trouble or getting into real specifics, we all know the $100 handshake is a very, very real thing in the world of college athletics and especially college football. I mean, there's just no question.
Right. I'll break it down like this. I feel like when you come into college, the only thing you have is your name.
Right.
So if you're going to be compensated over things from your name, I feel like it's a good idea. But what people don't realize is people see, athletes with, the nice gear and everything that looks good, but people don't understand how hard it is for an athlete to live.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's a struggle. Like you talking about, sometimes you get tired of having to cater food. Sometimes you want to be able to go out and get something to eat on your own. Sometimes you want to feel like you can be able to maneuver by yourself. And a lot of these guys pay rent and not knocking nobody, but a lot of these guys coming to college with families already. A lot of people have kids. So
I mean, Javon Kinlaw is a perfect example, really. And just he's a perfect example.
Yeah, he's got a baby. And, which in his situation, he's going to be able to take care of his baby's probably going to be sick for a long time.
Yeah.
But, it's hard for an athlete, man. It's like, and me being, I went to junior college, so I know the worst of the worst of the worst. So I feel like it's a good idea. I feel like they need to let players be paid off their name, because at the end of the day, the university, campus, the team, the organization, they make money off of their name.
Yeah.
So why would it be a bad idea if a player comes take for his pride on this with his organization that he has going on? You know how many family and situations that kid has impacted? So, just using that as an example, I feel like if the situation's there, I feel like it wouldn't be a bad idea to help a student athlete out, because, like I said, a lot of people, they see the games on the weekends and they see the TV time, but they don't really understand what it's like for a kid coming in, make some decisions, come in 17, 18, 19 with a baby and a girl, and they're stuck because you can't work a job. I mean,
no, for sure.
Your time's taken from 6 to 9 every day. So I don't think it'll be a bad idea, man. But everybody have their own opinion about it.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good move. Again, I think it's just, I think in regard to like compensating guys as far as monthly stipends, I think there's a lot to unpack there and a lot to break down. And you got to make sure, how does everyone at every school get paid the same? Like, there's a lot to unpack there, but the minimum guys should be able to make money off their own name. That just, I agree with you 100%. All you have is your name. If I want to go pay, Javon Kinlaw $100 for, let's just say this was last year, I want to go pay Javon Kinlaw $100 to sign a football. He should be able to take that $100. Just no questions asked. I think it's ridiculous that, the NCAA they're basically crooks in that regard. So I don't think anybody disagrees with that. But Ulric, I'll let you get off here, man. I really do appreciate you calling in. Let's definitely do it again sometime, my man.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
All right, brother. We'll talk soon.
All right.
Thanks, man. Bye. All right, that was Ulric Jones, good buddy of mine, former Gamecocks defensive lineman. Took a lot of time. That was a good conversation, though. Yeah, I definitely think guys should be. I think there's a lot to just speaking on the pay, if you will, how to pay guys, what are pay college athletes. I think there's a lot to unpack there. You start getting into like tax stuff and how does every athlete at every school make the same? Because listen, an athlete at East Carolina is not going to be getting paid the same as an athlete at South Carolina or Georgia or Florida, whatever, right? We can all agree on that. But at minimum, guys should be able to make money off their likeness, off their name. It's ridiculous and absurd to me that guys are getting. I mean, you even think of like the Todd Gurley situation. Like, remember he got suspended for signing autographs? You remember that? I mean, it's crazy. It's even hard to fathom. It's hard to comprehend. It makes no damn sense, in my opinion. 843-790-3377, the line. We got about 8 minutes here. We're going to wrap it up at 11. Got a stream coming right after this on Twitch, taking on Miami games 2 and 3. I'm about to kick their fucking ass because I lost game 1, and I'm pretty pissed about it. So that game, I'm telling you guys, if you're not tuned into the Twitch streams, it's not for everybody. Listen, I know people don't want to sit around and watch video games, and even I some days are like, man, I really don't feel like playing video games today, to be honest with you. But they're entertaining. Those games are fun, and the game is very hard. Hence why we are 22 and 13, or no, 22 and 12. I think we got a game and a half lead in the division over Auburn. It's like 2.5 game lead over Georgia. So it's very competitive stuff. It is very competitive stuff. Probably play Clemson tomorrow night in basketball. I'm not going to play today. Cinco de Mayo got some plans, and I don't want to be not fully engaged. So we're going to play tomorrow night at 7, taking on Clemson in NBA 2K in the basketball game. That'll be a lot of fun. Anytime you're taking on Clemson and anything, it's a lot of fun. But again, last minute comments, 843-790-3377. Literally, I just got an email. Listen to this. Just got an email from South Carolina Athletics, Football tickets now available. Your seat is waiting. Sending out the football email for tickets. So we'll see how the tickets go. Apparently there's an increase in season ticket sales, which is hard for me to believe. It really is hard for me to believe. Hard for me to fathom. I'll be completely honest with you. No, I think a lot of people are excited to see Marshawn Lloyd. They're fired up to see what Marshawn can do. I know I am. I know I am for sure. So again, 843-790-3377. You can text, you can call, you can leave your messages here on YouTube live as well. If you guys have any suggestions too, anything you want to see, anything you like, you don't like, feel free to voice those as well. Again, this is a trial and error thing. This is something where we're going to continue to grow it. I enjoy it. I think it's important to have a morning show. If this thing continues to go well, continues to grow, we will extend it from 9 to 11. I think having 2 random guests call in a day. I think it's fun. I think it's a lot of fun. So definitely something we're putting out there. So we got 5 minutes left. Closing thoughts here on the Coop Call-In Show from me. Again, it's kind of like I said, I'm just going to reiterate what I said earlier. This upcoming season, and this is a whole nother topic for a whole nother show about if we miss a bowl game and Will Muschamp is brought back by South Carolina. If South Carolina 7-5 or better, though, which again, you look at the schedule, the path to 7 is there. The path to 7 wins is there. But if South Carolina is a 7-win plus team, 7 or more wins, it will be due to the legs of Marshawn Lloyd. 110% to me. It will be due to the legs of Marshawn Lloyd. I think Marshawn Lloyd will become a household name. I think he will, and again, it's got to start up front with the offensive line. So Darius Hutcherson, Hank Manos has got to step up and be the guy for you. Jovan Gwynn, Dylan Wanham, these guys have got to play well. They've got to play well. I think Hank Manos, this is his make or break year. He's either going to shit or get off the pot. I mean, he's been terrible his first 2 years at Carolina. Was supposed to be this Under Armour All-American, this highly regarded prospect. He's got to step it up. He's got to step his game up. But I really think it'll be Marshawn Lloyd, man. And again, that's why I think you need a big game week 1. You need a big game against Coastal. You need to get Marshawn Lloyd 20, 25 touches. I really think you do. 20, 25 touches. Let him get his feet wet. Rush for 150 and 2 or 3 scores. And that's how, if you're Will Muschamp and you're this coaching staff, that's how you're going to fire people up for this season. That really is. That's how you're going to sell tickets. That's how you're going to fire people up. So I think it'll fall on the legs of Marshawn Lloyd. I really do. And we'll see. I mean, we will see. I'm still picking 5 and 7. I'm not ready to jump out there and give this team any more credit than it really deserves. I mean, again, we're talking again about a team that lost to App State at the end of last year. It's hard for me. I got burned. I got burned last year, picking 7-5 and then going to Charlotte and us losing that game. Yeah. So I would love this season, though, if nothing else, for Will Muschamp to shove it up my ass. I really would. I don't want to talk fire Will Muschamp all year. I really don't. That's not what I want to do. I don't want to be tweeting that week after week. I don't want to be making the same because it felt like last year I was repeating myself week after week after week when talking about these South Carolina games. I mean, I joked with people. You think that season was brutal for you? Imagine me talking about it every week, not being able to get away from it, really. So, man, I would love nothing more than to see Will Muschamp and company really just shove it up my ass. I would love that. I would love that. Love to see it. Like I said, you look at the schedule. The path to 7 is there. We're going to know very early. Again, I'm not picking it. I'm picking 5 and 7, but I'm just saying when you look at that schedule, there is a path to 7 wins. There is a path to 7 wins. It's just going to come down to, is Marshawn Lloyd the dude? Is he the dude we all hope? Is he even half the guy? Is he even half the guy that we hope and think he might be? If he's half as good as we think, and we're thinking, because I think a lot of us have got these expectations, he's going to be Marcus Lattimore-esque, program changing, if you will, which is very scary expectations to throw on a young kid. If he's half as good as we think he might be, it could be an interesting year. Could be a very special year. We'll see. Appreciate you guys tuning in again. The Coop Call-In Show, Tuesday, May the 5th. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Happy Tuesday. Hope everybody has a fantastic day. Stay safe. Stay healthy. We'll be back here again 10 to 11, Monday through Friday. Again, 843-790-3377. That's your call line. That's your text line. You can comment as well on YouTube. I am Chris Phillips, the Spurs Up Show. Again, if you got nothing to do, if you're chilling, you're hanging out, Twitch stream coming up probably in the next 10 minutes. South Carolina, Miami baseball. We're going to play 2 games today. Lost game 1 of the series, trying to take the next 2 and win the series over the Miami Hurricanes. So tune into that again, 10 to 11, Monday through Friday, the Coop Call-In Show. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. We will talk to you tomorrow. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Happy Tuesday. I am out. Chris Phillips, the Spurs Up Show.